We are here for a fun sketchbook exercise. I did a whole series of these back in 2017, and I thought it would be fun to continue them. I made that whole series of 10 into this class that I have up on my website, and this is kind of the bonus number 11 as part of that class. If you want to download the whole series, head over to Drawriot.com and you can grab them, including this one and the little write-ups, so you can just kind of have them all together. And then I will be starting a whole brand new sketchbook series for this year in 2018 with all new kind of little process and tools and ideas of how to work in your sketchbook and just kind of artist concepts. This one is all about complementary contrast. A lot of the times when you think about contrast, you think about lights and darks. So an example of that would be a Payne's Gray and a Titan Buff. You can clearly see dark and light. That's an example of contrast. But when we talk about complementary contrast, it's really talking about the complementary colors and how they create contrast on their own. You can also have contrast in size and in color, like the black and the white. You can have light color, warm and cool contrast, light and dark contrast, quantity contrast, so lots of things and just a few things. So that would be an example of if I have all of these circles happening and you see a lot of them, and then over here I maybe have one circle. So that is a contrast in quantity. But we're going to be talking about complementary contrast, and I'm going to be using some watercolors to do that, and just thinking about items and how much contrast there actually is out there in the real world and what you see every day. I'm going to put a little bit of water to my palette, and we're going to be using red and green as contrast. So I'm going to kind of mix really dense red here with some of this orange and some of this red, mixing it out onto my palette. And so looking at watercolor, especially because it's not as saturated and pigmented as like a acrylic paint would be, a really good way to kind of pump up the volume on watercolor is to pair it with a complementary color. So the complement of red on the color wheel is green. And so when you put them next to each other and work with them together, you can really get some nice visual contrast in color. So let's pick up, I'm gonna kind of mix a green here as well. I like to mix colors because then you kind of get a little personality of your own into your colors. Anybody can buy this color of watercolor and use it and have green, so mixing your own gives your own little variety to your page. So you can see there we have red and green next to each other, and they pop more because they're next to each other. When you overlay, like here I'm going to do in this corner, that is a glaze. So you can see, because watercolor is transparent, this almost becomes a brown because the green and the red complementary colors mixing become a neutral. It is a kind of a red tinted brown because that red is so contrasty in the background. But it's also interesting to kind of play with your colors in that way and see what kind of neutrals you can get when you mix complementary colors. So yellow and violet would be a good complementary test. Blue and orange are complementary colors. And let's think about something for this exercise in nature. that is blue and green. And I'm gonna do, because we're kind of coming up on spring here, I'm gonna do a strawberry. So we're just gonna do a very simple strawberry. We're gonna do some leaves and a stem on it. And to kind of show, do a couple of them. How it changes depending on how you use the colors. So a strawberry is red. We get a nice red here. And then the leaves of strawberry are green. And the stem. And really just popping those colors against each other. Let's see how much redder the strawberry is. Do a little bit of a color glaze. Second layer over this one. Really push that red. So we kind of have our strawberry here represented. I like to live a little white when I do watercolor illustrations. I think it just adds a little personality. And then we're gonna come in here and pop some green onto the top of this one. And then this other one, we're gonna make yellow. So knowing, because we've all seen strawberries, knowing that green is the right color and yellow isn't, but this yellow and red, it just doesn't feel as poppy. It kind of blends. It's like warm color, but this one where we have used color complementary contrast, it really highlights that red and green, and it feels very fresh, and it really pops both of those colors together. So you can experiment with complementary contrast with all of the complementary colors. So we have yellow. And we would have violet as its complement. And then we have blue. And orange would be its complement. So thinking about how you could use these colors together, what might be yellow and like a sunset, if you can pop a little violet somewhere in your piece, or orange could be in a sunset with a little blue in your piece. It really starts to set those colors apart from each other, and you can really get some interest and some variety using complementary contrast in your sketchbook. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this little sketchbook practice snippet, and definitely keep watching for the 2018 versions, and we'll be doing more concepts, talking about different mediums, techniques, processes, and different tools. So thanks for watching, and I will see you later. Bye.